BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for all of your sports betting action. Baseball season, it's in full swing. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odd news and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. Largest selection of odds on everything from MLB, NBA, NHL, UFC. BetOnline remains the best online source for all of your sports wagering information. Hey, you know what? In between games, go to the BetOnline Casino. Top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. And we welcome you to another edition of Bleav in Giants. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks. So as of this recording, the Giants' schedule is not out yet, but there's a lot of things going on. The players are on the field in phase 2, I believe it's called. They're going through things individually. Offense and defense can't meet or compete, so to speak. But, you know, we're going to show you some video here of ways in which the Giants can just get better, because there's a lot of elements to what they could potentially do offensively. And there's things that have to be refined. They hope to have better quarterback play this year. And then from a schematic standpoint, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, Carl, that get moved around, and then it's up to the individuals to execute it. And we're going to show people some video that you were able to look at, and we're going to look at ways and potential for this offense to be much more explosive than it was last year.
Yeah, Bob, and what I want you guys in our viewing audience to understand, what this video will show you is areas where players have to get better. This doesn't define them as wide receivers or running backs. This is the offseason, and these are the times where players have to work on the things that they haven't been great at. And one of the things that I looked at as I'm just going through the film, and, you know, this is kind of an extension of what we were doing on our Spaces. This is kind of a sequel, but when I'm just breaking down the film and I was looking at certain things are jumping off the screen, right? And I was like, boy, I can see why Malik Nabers was picked where he was, because he impacts the game in so many ways, even when he's not catching the ball. But then I look at Malik Nabers' route running, and I look at, you know, two guys who I think are going to prominently be a part of this offense when Malik Nabers is on the field, and that's Darius Slayton and Jalin Hyatt. And what you're going to see are just basically two fade routes for back shoulder, and how refined Malik Nabers' route running is, as opposed to both Slayton and Hyatt. They approach it differently, and when you take a look at this video, you'll see the difference in the two routes, or the difference in the three routes. Malik Nabers is pretty consistent with what he wants to accomplish, but you know, take a look and let's take and you'll see what I'm talking about. Since this is the offseason and this is all about getting better for these players, I'm going to show a couple of plays that are for teaching purposes only. I've had these conversations with the players, so this is nothing new. And as you guys view this, don't look at it as something that makes a player bad, more so than something that will allow the player to get better. But I want to show you the difference in route running here and here. You got Malik Nabers here at the bottom of the screen, Jalin Hyatt here at the top. They're both facing the same coverage, outside-in coverage by the corners, right? So what you're going to see now is going to be a back shoulder fade, but watch the difference in route. Now, first focus on when these guys leave the line of scrimmage, halfway through the route, ball is snapped. If you look, Hyatt is doing this. This is what Malik Nabers is doing. Why is that important? Well, if you want a back shoulder throw, you can't get in a foot race and then get bodied out of bounds here. And this is what happens with Hyatt here. The route running, he starts out. Now, if you stop here, there's nowhere to throw the football. But look at the distance here between the sideline and Malik Nabers. They both start, it's the same exact route versus the same coverage. But it's Malik Nabers threatens vertically, and then the subtleness of coming out, but he holds the cornerback right down this line so that then he can go out. As opposed to up top, Jalin Hyatt, his first move is to the outside. Watch again. His first step is here. Malik Nabers is here. Yes, cornerback's off a little bit on Nabers, but you've got to threaten if you're Hyatt. It can't become a foot race until you can set it up. Once the cornerback starts to the inside, he's going to play outside in. Once he does that, you have to threaten down the side of the numbers. But he makes it easy to be covered there as opposed to Malik Nabers giving room for a back shoulder. Now let's take a look again here. Same thing, back shoulder throw, right? Now this, Darius Slayton, Malik Nabers. Let's just take a look at the release. Both playing the same coverage, both lined up right here on the outside edge of the numbers, right? So there's no difference there. Now let's watch the play again. This is back shoulder. Slayton, who's obviously off the line of scrimmage, 2 yards ahead of Malik Nabers, right? But he gets this great start, but look at the direction he's going versus the direction Malik Nabers is going. One makes it easier to cover, the other one doesn't. So now I'll stop this here. Slayton is here to the sideline. Nabers gives you a lot more room to throw the back shoulder, right? This, once Darius Slayton, watch this, once he gets here, he's outside, it just makes it easy for the receiver to lock up with you. Nabers is still threatening vertically here, so the defender has to honor the vertical. And then he breaks it out. There's plenty of room to the sideline. He catches the football. Again, folks, this is all about teaching and getting better. I just had this conversation with Darius Slayton about just the release, because his intent, he says, is not to give it away right away, but it happens.
So, Carl, that's really fascinating because, as you said, you talked to Darius Slayton about it. You know, they paint those red lines on the practice field for a reason. If you've ever been to an NFL practice field, they have red lines painted, and that is to make sure that the receiver maintains width with
Sure.
that sideline. And those are the things that you got to get done in the off season and then into training camp so it translates into a game.
Yeah, and Bob, what you see from that red line, it's not the rule for every route, but if you want to create some sideline distance or width on a back shoulder fade, you're going to have to stay on that line as much as possible so that the defender thinks you're running a go, so that then you can drift out and be able to turn back and catch the football, similar to what Malik Nabers did. Now, what you saw from Slayton on that last route, it looked like he was running a wheel route or a go route. But obviously, the way he stopped, you could tell that was not a go route. That was supposed to be a fade, and it was going to be thrown back shoulder, but there was just nothing there. So again, you could see he got off the ball faster than Malik Nabers. I mean, he was 2 yards ahead when the ball was snapped. Now, if he just keeps driving that way, there's no way the defender will think that he's running a fade. He's going to think he's running a go because he was on the defender in 2 steps. So it's just the little subtleties that he has. It wasn't as overt as what you saw with Slayton. I mean, I'm sorry, as what you saw with Hyatt, because he got on top of the defender fast, and then he just made it easier by rounding his route out.
I know you sat with Coach Daboll and you went through a lot of these plays. It also seems like to me, Carl, that you got the same routes on both sides, but those two routes are really, each route is really two routes, because if you push straight up the field and the DB guesses and thinks you're going to run a hitch, or the DB thinks you're going to run an out, now you just have an easy, almost like seam, boom, easy throw for the quarterback. If it's played correctly and they take away the go on you, now you have the option for the back shoulder. So really it's two routes for each guy, depending on what the defender does.
It's actually three. Yeah, Bob. Okay. It's a go route, it's a fade, and it's a comeback. And when you look at and see, this is why it's important to be a disciplined route runner, so that your defender doesn't know which route it's going to be. If you look at Malik Nabers, every route looks the same. He's coming off vertically, so he can run a go, he can stop and come back, or he's going to run that fade for a back shoulder. But every start looks the same. He doesn't start and drift, right? He's threatening vertically every time he comes off the line of scrimmage. Now, Slayton was a little better than Hyatt because he was on top of the guy, but then he declared himself a lot sooner. And what Nabers does, he makes the defender have to really figure out what it's going to be. And he doesn't give it away. So he's running and he's so sudden as he comes back or he drifts out that it just puts a defender in a bind. And that's where, if you want to be effective in this Brian Daboll offense, with this route, you got to make them all look the same, because you have three options: a go, a fade, or a comeback. And if they all look the same, your offense is going to be that much more productive.
Yeah, and again, we're trying to give some inside information here. Not that we're giving away any state secrets, but it also is beneficial to our fans out there that, Monday morning, everybody's on the internet breaking down film and saying, oh, this was a bad read, or he had this, or he didn't see that. And it's like, you sat with the coach and you went through these plays with him to find out what's the design. See, it's easy to grade on Monday after a game. Not easy, but people grade. But sometimes you're grading off the wrong information.
PFF.
Yeah, well, anybody. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of giant people out there that grade the film and they look at plays and then they make assessments and judgments, not necessarily understanding. Like, you sat with Dabes and he explained to you, these are the same routes and there should be three options. But because of the release of Hyatt and the release of Slayton right out of the gate, they turned a three option route into one. So you're handcuffing your quarterback.
Yeah.
So if your quarterback, whether it was Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor the year before, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, you name it, if you think you're going to have this and suddenly you're looking and now all of a sudden he's run you out of two of your options, you're probably going to look somewhere else.
Yeah, and look, these are professional athletes, right? And none of them are bums. I'm just showing you one area that they have to be better at. We haven't seen, and I didn't show you every route they run. Obviously, Darius Slayton has a lot of catches, so he's not a bad route runner. He's got to refine that route.
Yeah, for this offense. For this offense, you got to be more disciplined in what they're asking. And again, it's offensive line protection. It's quarterbacks reading things. It's anticipation of the quarterback. It's, can your defense stop a run so you're not always playing from 15 points behind? Like, We're just showing you a small snippet. All right, what do you have in store for the next two clips?
Well, it's going to be the impact of the Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka offensive scheme, meaning they use shifts and motions to really split your defense and to really create spacing, natural spacing, where you can't line up to a strong or weak formation. You've really got a lot of things going on in terms of your linebacker. Your eye control is kind of like, it's kind of split. Do I go to the strong side? Do I stay to the weak side? So when you see this, they'll start in a strong formation, then they'll shift over a tight end, and then they'll motion a wide receiver. So they'll just change the strength, and then they can either run back to it or run to it. But it also, when you talk about how receivers factor in to some of these plays, you'll see the Malik Nabers effect on a running play, which sets up their RPO.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the impact of the shift in motion of this Kafka Daboll offense. You can see with a 3-by-1 here, you've got the box loaded, right? Which means a loaded box to the strength leaves a bubble right here. So now, when the formation balances back out, they're going to travel with Wan'Dale Robinson. But you still have a light bubble. The light bubble is still here, and they run right to it. Now, take a look at Malik Nabers. He's the reason why the safety doesn't come down to fill here, because he's in a double. He's watching Nabers. You can see here the safety here is on Nabers, so he literally pulls a guy out so that the ball can run. That's the Malik Nabers effect here. You see the safety went down. He wasn't even looking for the run. Now, because Malik Nabers did what he did, now they're going to run the exact same play. 3-by-1 to 2-by-2, right? Now, they don't travel this time. You see Wan'Dale Robinson goes in motion. This time, they don't travel with him. They stay balanced, right? So that they can stop the run. So he goes across. Uh-oh, here's the run again. Now, safeties and everybody are down. It's the RPO. The impact of having a receiver like Malik Nabers who can pull you out of a run defense and then keep you in one with the same look. But this is also about the formation and the shifts. So the defense adjustment was, let's not pull anybody out of the box. So now the nickel doesn't travel with Robinson. They balance their defense. Now there's no bubble in the defense. Everybody is balanced. So they're just waiting for the run to come because they saw this formation once before. Safety is even down. They're going to load up and say, you're not going to run the football here like you did last time. We're not traveling, and we're going to load the box. Boom, 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 boom. Safety. There's nowhere to run the football, right? They're thinking, hey, we got this one covered. Same look. This guy's here, all eyes here on Tracy. What do you have here? Boom. RPO, same look. Wide open. And here's the thing about Malik Nabers. Watch what he does. As he comes out, he stems at this corner like he's going to go vertical, and then he does that. That means the subtleness of the route holds the defender to the outside, and he's able to make the catch on an RPO. So you see a lot about what Coach Kafka and Coach Daboll's offense will do.
All right, so Carl, the first play in that clip, when Wan'Dale Robinson motions, when that corner nickel travels with him, you know you're going to have that light bubble. You also know that they're in man, right? Because he's traveling.
Yeah, well, they're man against him anyway, right? And
right.
They're man, and then they're doubling Malik in a zone. But yeah, he travels, right away. They just took one guy out of the box. That's, some of the purpose of when you see shifts in motion, just to see if there's some type of man coverage. And so as soon as Rondell went in motion, the nickel traveled with him. And that means the nickel was never going to factor into the defense if they were running the football, because he had Robinson all the way, and Robinson just took him to no man's land.
One of my favorite parts about that play was as Stinney, who was the left guard, pulls and he makes that seal block. Mm-hmm. You see his arms go up? Like,
yeah,
he's
he knew
like,
it.
Yeah, I
That's
nailed
success.
that guy. I sprung. That's the key. Because if Stinney doesn't get that guy, Tracy's getting 4 yards.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of a well-executed play, because those are the rewards that the offensive linemen look for when they make a block and they see that running back go through right where they made the block. That is so gratifying.
So now they're loaded the box on the second play that you showed. And again, it goes back to route discipline, right? You illustrated it there where Nabers keeps his leverage and then snaps it, and the quarterback makes a good read in that situation. I got to assume that, with the veteran quarterbacks the Giants have on the roster now, especially a guy like Russell Wilson, in that situation, he's going to feast on things like that, because once that nickel doesn't travel with Wan'Dale Robinson, he's got to be thinking, my probabilities are, instead of handing off here, I'm going to have that play to Malik Nabers.
Yeah, because, Bob, they set it up. First, Nabers on the run play, Nabers goes all the way down, and he pulls a safety, keeps the safety from going down into the box, right? So the defense comes to the sideline and say, okay, if we see this formation again, we're not going to travel. As a matter of fact, nickel, you stay to one side, safety, you come down to discourage the run. So if a quarterback sees that, it's pretty simple. Malik Nabers is going to get behind the safety, because the safety's at the line of scrimmage. He's basically at linebacker depth. So he's just got to run at the corner and slant, and that's what happened. But they made the play look exactly the same. Malik Nabers ran the same route. This time he was a primary receiver without a safety doubling him.
All right. You got to recover from these plays, Carl. And I know that Cheribundi has been a big supporter of ours, and I know you've got yours. I've got mine. It has been in the locker rooms of every NFL team, NCAA champions in football, all kinds of sports. Listen, it helps you with recovery. It helps you with the sleep. Now, you like the sleep gummy thing.
This is the sleep right here.
And you've been taking it religiously?
My go-to.
Go-to.
Yeah.
I like the tart juice. But right now, if you go to cheribundi.com, you could also get it on Amazon. But if you go to cheribundi.com, it helps with sleep. It helps with recovery. It definitely, as we're getting a little bit older, you get that workout in and you feel that soreness. Yeah. It definitely helps with that. And it's 100% natural. There's no sugars to it. Tart cherry. I like the juice. We have the pouches. We have the gummies. But right now, if you go to cheribundi.com and you type in the promo code GIANTS20, you get 20% off your order. But I have another deal for our listeners out there. If you subscribe to Bleav in Giants podcast on YouTube and you tag at Cheribundi, CHERIBUNDI, you know what we're going to do? We're going to give a free case away of the cherry juice. You get a free case. Leave a review on Apple, Spotify. Follow on at Bleav on Instagram and X. And if you tag at Cheribundi in the comments, we're giving away a free case. So make sure you subscribe, because it is a game changer.
If the pros are using it, yes.
Pros are using it. The top colleges are using it. The top athletes are using it. It's in the Giants locker room and all 31 other teams. It's available. And here's the thing. Nothing shows up in an NFL locker room that has not been completely vetted by the National Football League. You see these guys getting pinched all the time for substances, violating the substance abuse policy. So in order for it to be in an NFL locker room, it has to pass the most rigorous test. So you're getting something that's all natural, it's clean, it's healthy, antioxidants flowing through that tart cherry juice, no sugars. So you're not putting anything bad in your body, and it's what the pros do. So again, subscribe to our YouTube channel, tag Cherubundi in the comments, and you could win a free case, or go to cherubundi.com. Giants20 is your promo code. Get 20% off. It's a limited time. It's coming to an end, so make sure you do it. So, Carl, let's go back to work and work up a little more soreness. The Malik Nabers effect in this final clip that you're going to roll in for our audience here is something that I know gets you excited about the possibilities of what this team could do moving forward.
Yeah, Bob, but before we even get to that, there's a different mentality with elite level players, right? I saw it with Lawrence Taylor. They just see things differently. They have a different feel for the game. And you'll look at your film and you'll be like, why did he think to do that? Or why did he do that? How did he see that? How did he feel that? And you see that with Malik Nabers, just the way he runs his routes. But this next clip is going to show you the instinct and the natural feel he has for seeing clusters, right? When you see clusters of people as wide receivers, there are a few things you can do. You can look for a spot to sit down, or you just keep traveling through it. Watch what Malik Nabers does here.
Now, let's look at the Malik Nabers effect once again here. And we talk about the subtleness of his feel for the defense, right? He has a great instinct for the defense. I just want to show you something that nobody will really pay attention to, but the coaches will come back and say, wow, we have something here. Watch this. This is a little bootleg out route. Malik Nabers is right here, okay? He's got a little waggle action. Everybody's crossing. Cross, cross, and this is going to be an out, right? Watch what happens here. Simple play, Darius Slayton. Okay, looks like everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Route, everything. But watch Malik Nabers here. I just want you to watch what he does. He's going to run a crossing route. Everybody's running crossing routes, right? If I freeze it, the entire defense is on one side of the hash mark. Watch what Malik Nabers does. He's about to uncover. And if the quarterback doesn't have this, and you can see he has some time, he's got a wide open field here to Malik Nabers. That wasn't coached, folks. This is just natural instinct. Everybody is going across the field. He subtly sees something. He sees all of this, and he pivots. That's instinct. That is instinct. Now he's here. He's got all of this to work with. If they put that play in, there's no way it's going to be covered by the defense. That's just a Malik Nabers effect. And that was just a subtle something he noticed that he could do.
So, Carl, he feels the space. He sees the flow. Now, Drew Lock is under a little bit of pressure, and he does the smart thing. He takes the gimme, and he throws it to Slayton.
Sure.
But, you know, the Giants have Russell Wilson now, who's a veteran player, who's Super Bowl champ, 10-time Pro Bowler. But eventually, one of the skill sets in one of the reasons why they drafted a guy like Jackson Dart is because this is now going to be something that, from a chemistry standpoint, but from an instinctive talent standpoint, Jackson Dart might be able to, as he's getting that pressure, just wait that extra beat, knowing that Malik Nabers is whipping. Because and we see Mahomes make these plays, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, the top quarterbacks, they wait that beat and then flick it and lead Malik Nabers, and that's a touchdown.
Yeah, well, see, here's the thing, too. It's kind of a trademark of this offense in terms of the way Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka likes to make things look the same. We just saw it with the RPO, right? they like it to look the same, meaning that play can be redesigned and that quarterback doesn't have to roll out as far. And the defense will look at it and think they're going to get a shot, but he could just pull up off the waggle motion, give Nabers just that beat to whip back out, and you got an open field because they've shown everybody going across to one side of the hash mark, right? There was nobody on the backside. So, and the person on the backside was at the line of scrimmage looking at the tight end. So there was nobody dropping back. So this will definitely, when you see a player who can come to the sideline and say, hey, look, if we run this again, I'm going to whip back and I'll be wide open. Those are the plays that go into a playbook that coaches say, we didn't think of this one. This one goes to Lawrence Taylor. This one goes to Malik Nabers.
Carl
He saw
Banks.
this and he felt it. Right. So that's elite level play and elite level instincts.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, the top quarterbacks in the league, the unique quarterbacks in the league, are the ones that see it as well, feel it as well, know it's an option, and then have the courage, and not just the courage, but the physical ability, as we've seen Mahomes do a zillion times with Kelsey, as we saw Brady do a million times with Gronkowski, as we've seen Burrow do with Jamar Chase, and Josh Allen has done it with a variety of receivers.
So let me stop you right there. Every time we see this, right, you'll hear the announcer say, it looks like there are two kids playing in the playground. It is, because they see the same things together, right? I'm sure Kelsey is saying, hey, look, if this linebacker overplays me and he's going to play me on the crossing route, I'm going to whip, I'll go vertical, I'll do something. You see it with Jamar Chase. You just see it even with Buffalo, and Josh's stuff go way down the field when something, looks like it's going to be short, and all of a sudden he pulls up and there's some. That is by design as much as it's by instinct, meaning these two played together long enough to know each other, to know that there's going to be some openings and they're on the same page in place.
Yeah, I mean, I think listen, we know Indianapolis was not very good, and, this was a late season game, but it kind of shows you what the potential could be with everybody kind of on the same page and Nabers going in. Remember, Nabers is a rookie.
Yeah, but
looking
Bob,
at all this stuff, he was a rookie.
Yeah, so you're saying Indianapolis wasn't very good. The Giants weren't either.
Correct.
So you play the team, you prepare for the team that shows up on Sunday. So whoever it was, they were going to have a game plan for that team. So I don't discount the fact that they played the Colts. I credit the fact that they prepared well and they had things that would take advantage of a defense like the Colts. And that's what this game is about. It's a week-to-week league. You prepare for the opponent you see, just like they were preparing for a bad Giants team that, were going to be their stepping stone into the playoffs. It didn't happen because the Giants executed better.
Well, and I think the bigger message here too is the Colts were not a very good team. They got away with some things, right? And they put all those points on the board. But when you play the Eagles, when you play the better teams in the NFL that the Giants are going to play this year, if you are not on point, if your route calls for you to push it up the field and sell go, and then have go, fade, or come back, and you reduce that route to one route on one side, and you're playing against the better teams, they're going to eat your lunch.
Sure.
So in order to get elevated, there's a million different things that have to be cleaned up.
Right. And look, if you count on having good quarterback play, you count on having a stable offensive line, then there's no excuse that your skill position players don't have success other than the fact that they're limiting their own success, right? And that we talked about dropped footballs, right? Drop passes, right? It's just not limited to Wan'Dale Robinson. There was kind of they almost called a cold catching passes. They just had so many guys dropping. but they have to be good everywhere, because when things start to get better, when the glaring weaknesses start to get better, then you better be improving, because then you're going to become the weakness, right? So better quarterback play, better decision making by the quarterback, and protection by the offensive line. The spotlight now shines on you as a wide receiver. So you got to really refine everything you're doing: catching, route running, discipline, knowing how what you do impacts the run game, knowing how the run game impacts your ability to receive in an RPO, and the importance of making everything look the way it should look.
Kudos, Carl. I know you spent a lot of time in the film room. Thanks to Coach Daboll for showing you a bunch of plays.
Well, he gave me 10, and
He gave you 10.
I just wanted to get, because this is
5.
where, I love doing this stuff, but this is kind of a look at how I see the game, right? And the little subtleties of, success in mediocre play. What you look at some elite stuff, and you look at guys who can get better, and the objective is for those guys to get better. And I think that's their objective too. When you show it to them as professionals, if they have the ability to do it, they're going to work on it.
All right. How do we like to end this?
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Bleav in
Bleav in
Giants.
Giants.